In the hidden tapestry of antiquity, amidst ancient stones and layers of time, lie narratives of iron and delicacy, painted with the red of battle and passion, weaving scenes of existence and demise. With the sun's glare over Rome, the unexpected took shape, and the crowd, in ecstasy, clamored not only for conflict, but for a lethal dance of allurements that withered under their gaze, an enigma of fascinations and swords. Greetings, time voyagers! Come with us to a scorching desert where feminine elegance dances with the fury of combat and the seduction of gladiatrix. Among its many followers, Emperor Caligula, with his extravagances, reveled in such spectacles. Intrigued to learn more about these ancient Roman fighters? Then, don't forget to drop that like. And without further ado, let's dive into the video. The arena fighters, known as gladiatrix, emerged from the shadows of history as entities of great allure. They weren't mere creations of dramatic authors, but tangible presences as real as the earth beneath their feet and the air filling their lungs. Coming from various social strata, each brought with them a narrative as intricate as the marks etched on their skins. Some found themselves captive, dragged into combat as a means of subsistence and for the entertainment of others. Then there were those who, by their own will, thrust themselves into battle, enticed by whispered promises of glory and emancipation, or driven by motives that faded into the mists of forgetfulness. Selected for their vigor, skill, and often their aesthetics, they were the jewels of a cruel spectacle, adorned for the satisfaction of a culture that found pleasure in both beauty and bloodshed. In the arena, the ground trembled under the weight of fates foretold. Each of these warriors faced their struggle as if it were the ultimate showdown. The clashes of these warriors transcended mere physical combat, evolving into duels of ingenuity and tactics. With training in a diverse array of weaponry, ranging from gladii and spears to nets and tridents, they engaged in battles that were true showcases of skill and artistic expression. Such a confrontation was a lethal choreography, a weaving of ability and ferocity, where defeat didn't just mean death, but perhaps an even bitterer fate: dishonor. The audience of Rome didn't forgive, their desires forged in the elegance of performance and the brutality of impacts. Caligula, often evoked for his ferocity and opulence, saw in the gladiatrix something beyond mere fighters. He perceived in them the embodiment of his boldest fantasies and a vehicle for the manifestation of his unrestrained power. Their reigns were marked by spectacles that touched the threshold of legend. Grand enactments of historical conflicts, executions that seemed more like theatrical productions, and aquatic duels that turned the Colosseum into a maritime stage. The gladiatrix represented just one facet of the countless extravagances that punctuated their rule. They were pawns in their chess game of authority, where existence and artistic expression danced with death in ways that transcended reality. Between the softness of silk and the hardness of metal, the attire of the gladiatrix reflected the diversity of their origins. In the arena, their armor, besides offering protection, was designed to captivate both the commoners and the nobility. The gleam of metal in the sun, the intricately crafted breastplates and greaves accentuated the feminine forms, dressing them with an almost celestial aura, as if they were warlike deities stepping onto the battleground. The plumes on their helmets and the capes fluttering in the wind transcended mere aesthetics. They were emblems of distinction and courage, a visual manifesto that those who battled there did so with the intensity and elegance of eternal beings. Far from the fervor of the arena and the eager gazes of the crowd, their clothing became more modest, yet laden with symbolism. The tunic, often in dark tones, veiled the scars left by war. They had a subtle anonymity about them, an unmistakable sign of those who mastered the lethal art of combat, an essence that remained even without the armor. These warriors embodied human longing, a lethal blend of danger and feminine delicacy that made them objects of intense desire and admiration. In a world that idolized brute strength and masculinity, they broke barriers, fighting with an intensity that rivaled or even surpassed that of men. They emitted the combined strength of Venus and Mars, capturing both eager glances and deep respect. Their charm went far beyond battles in the arena. In taverns and public squares, whispers abounded about their heroic deeds, their romances and misadventures. They were seen as icons of beauty and heroism, embodiments of a daring and taboo eroticism, questioning the norms of a Roman society still bound by its patriarchal traditions. Caligula, known for his rule of luxury and whims, saw in the gladiatrix the expression of his own nature, bold, unpredictable, and irresistibly attractive. With an almost dramatic enthusiasm, he elevated them to stardom, turning their performances into a spectacle where the line between reality and artistry blurred. The gladiatrix were part of his parade of wonders, warriors whose weapons outlined the tales of the emperor's dominion and delight. But this promotion didn't just happen in public spectacles. Caligula was a master at crafting his own image and that of his protégés, through coins minted with their likenesses, majestic statues, and paintings that adorned the palace corridors. They were his heroines, his battle beasts, and he spared no expense to ensure that his elite was revered throughout Rome. In celebrations, where the Roman elite gathered for parties and intrigues, the gladiators made their presence known. They showcased their skill in rehearsed duels or in more discreet games of influence and charm. The emperor relished this dynamic of power and passion, where these women fought not only for their own lives, but also navigated the ambitions and desires of those who considered themselves their superiors. The promotion of the gladiatrix, thus, was a reflection of the image Caligula wanted to project of himself. It was a promotional tool that glorified both the splendor and the volatile temperament of his leadership. Through them, Caligula presented himself as a defender of the martial arts, flaunting the power to decide on life and death, a prerogative that brought him great satisfaction and solidified his control over the empire. The duels of the gladiatrix in the arena unfolded like an intricate dance of aggression and grace, where each action could be decisive for the outcome of life or death. They faced not only female opponents, but also male gladiators, and in exceptional and impressive moments, exotic beasts captured from the far reaches of the empire. These clashes transcended mere combat. They were epics of flesh and blood. Unfolding through attacks and defenses, each confrontation was laden with the weight of an unpredictable future. The Roman audience, thirsty for blood and entertainment, saw in the battles of the gladiatrix a mirror of their own mortality. The fights were orchestrated with a combination of artistic skill and explicit violence, where the elegance of a feint could quickly give way to the ferocity of a lethal blow. The audience wasn't just there to watch. They actively participated with applause and disapproval, alternating their perception of the fighters between reverence and disdain. Aquileia and Amazonia, names immortalized throughout history, stood out among the gladiatrix, with duels so skillful and brutal that their stories were immortalized in inscriptions and sculptures. These records are testimonials to the indelible mark that a gladiatrix could carve in the chronicles of history, showing that, despite the veil of legends and mysteries surrounding them, they were as tangible as the ground they walked on and as influential as the emperors who ruled Rome. Although the details of their lives outside the arenas are mostly unknown, the impact they made is undeniable. They broke barriers in a sphere dominated by male presence, challengers who, with every fight, defied the norms of their gender and set new standards of female strength and skill. The conquest and the prize. For a fighter in the arena, emerging victorious could open the doors to freedom. More than riches and fame, gaining freedom was the pinnacle of success, the end of days in captivity, and the dawn of a new existence. The presentation of a rudis, a wooden sword, marked this new chapter, representing not a threat, but the conquest over life itself. Carrying the rudis, a fighter achieved a treasure perhaps more valuable than life, the recognition and authenticity of an emancipated warrior. Recognition transcended mere material rewards. A standout fighter could win the affection of the people, thus gaining a subtle yet effective influence over the emotions and thoughts of the Roman populace. Their achievements, their triumphs, and their names were celebrated in melodies and narratives that endured far beyond their physical existence. The twilight of a significant era. The journey of the gladiatrix in Rome didn't stretch over many years, but their experiences were marked by intensity and fervor. With the arrival of new leaders and transformations in the political and social spheres, the female presence in arena duels began to fade. This trend intensified with the adoption of Christianity by the empire and the official prohibition of gladiator shows by Constantine at the dawn of the 4th century. This prohibition represented the death knell of the Gladiator Institute, leading the GLADIATRIX, who were part of this universe, to dissipate into the mists of oblivion. The arenas, which once throbbed with the sound of clashes, plunged into a sepulchral silence. The armor, which gleamed in the sun of Rome, was consumed by rust over time. The women who had dominated these stages of brutality were transformed into mere figures of legends, resonating only as echoes of a bygone era. However, their legacy survives. The gladiatrix remain as symbols of historical complexity and human impetus to transgress established norms. Their achievements echo from an era when the empire stretched as widely as the dreams of its leaders, and where, even in the most adverse conditions, the chance to achieve the extraordinary sprouted. The saga of the gladiatrix in Rome serves as a vigorous testament to human potential to reach both the sublime and the shadowy. In these warriors, we witness the essence of the human spirit in its purest expression, battling not only for glory, but for a moment of victory in an existence defined by conflict. To wrap it up, we'd like to invite you to subscribe to our channel and share your thoughts about this video in the comments. Your participation is really important to us, as it helps us create more interesting and relevant content for you. Don't forget to hit the notification bell to stay updated on all the latest news. We appreciate your support and interaction.